Hey folks, welcome back. I'm your host, R.R. Slugger, and today I wanted to talk about a series I rarely see discussed online, LEGO Star Wars. Alright, so obviously LEGO Star Wars is a brand unto itself, somehow managing to stand on its own, apart from LEGO or Star Wars. Like a growing singularity, it has become self-sustaining and can no longer be stopped. Of the nearly 22,000 sets the LEGO Group has ever produced, roughly 1,000 of them belong to LEGO Star Wars. 1/22nd of the company's total output might not sound like a lot, but I don't know, compare that to something like Time Cruisers, which had 4 sets total. 1/22nd is a lot more than 1/5,500th. So, if it's so inescapably prolific, why then does a LEGO YouTuber like myself not have dozens of videos already talking about it? Why do I actually have more videos talking about LEGO Time Cruisers than I do LEGO Star Wars? Well, I've got to be honest and say that the vast majority of LEGO Star Wars sets are completely uninteresting to me. Accurate brick-built recreations of vehicles and characters that appeared in a show or movie have little appeal to me, and flesh-tone minifigures are a complete deal-breaker. LEGO Star Wars, as I gesture around broadly, is mostly just that. That being said, it wasn't always just that. In fact, in its infancy, LEGO Star Wars was arguably one of the most creative themes in LEGO's portfolio. Let's step back in time for a moment. In 1998, after weeks of drawn-out negotiations, the LEGO Group and Lucasfilm entered a licensing agreement together. LEGO Star Wars was gonna happen. However, it had to happen quick. 1999 was right around the corner, and with it, the release of the hotly anticipated new Star Wars film. LEGO wanted to be on store shelves in time to meet the rush. This meant the set designers had to hurry. Many elements were borrowed from LEGO Rock Raiders, which had been in active development for at least a year at that point. Parts specifically created for the theme were co-opted by LEGO Star Wars, such as these geological scanners that were repurposed to be space binoculars. My all-time favorite LEGO piece, Part 30303, was another such element. With deep Rock Raiders roots, it actually went on to have a second life within LEGO Star Wars as landing gear or the feet of walkers. Additionally, this ratcheting hinge connection type that we still use today was originally developed along with the Rock Raiders theme, but predictably, it was quickly picked up by Star Wars as well. Ironically, LEGO Star Wars actually beat Rock Raiders to market, meaning that, to outsiders, it now appeared that Rock Raiders was borrowing from Star Wars, rather than the reality of the inverse. It's funny how things happen. There was a good deal of concern within the company at the time that Star Wars did not represent LEGO's core values. I have a hunch that this worry led to early LEGO Star Wars leaning hard, and I mean hard, into pushing the idea of alternate builds. Outside of things like Creator, Freestyle, or Basic, I'm not sure if there's ever been a theme, certainly not a licensed theme, that had such a central focus on alternate builds. Some of these sets feature upwards of 5 alternate builds. That was just unheard of. Not only that, but many of the sets featured comic strips within the instructions that worked the alternate builds into the story. And this is LEGO Star Wars we're talking about, potentially the most cookie-cutter, by-the-numbers series LEGO has to offer today. But back then, the designers really tried to make it fit the ideals of replayability and rebuildability. This is why I say that LEGO Star Wars used to be one of the most creative themes in LEGO's arsenal. It was largely constructed out of scraps from other series in development, and then it placed a heavy emphasis on builders taking these sets apart and constructing something else with them. If that isn't utterly emblematic of what LEGO should represent, then I'm not sure what is. All of this is to say that while what LEGO Star Wars became doesn't interest me in the slightest, its germinal origins do. Sets from this early era are fascinating to me, and I actually own quite a few of them now. In fact, my most recent acquisition, 4477 T-16 Skyhopper, is the set I want to talk about more today. Released in 2003, this set flew in just before Star Wars switched to fleshy figs and ditched its whole emphasis on alternate builds. Saved from the listless mediocrity that would soon follow, the Skyhopper is a really interesting entry in the LEGO Star Wars series. For one thing, the Skyhopper was only ever adapted one other time within the theme's history at this scale. I think it was also a strange model to choose to tackle this early into LEGO Star Wars' run. Were they already in a position where they needed to scrape the bottom of the barrel and dig out the toy that Luke plays with in A New Hope? They did try at least to make this set special, and this is largely why I wanted to talk about it at all. Of the mere 96 pieces included here, 6 of them are set exclusive, and of those, 5 are printed pieces. This is an unusually high ratio of set exclusive elements. A full 1/16 of these pieces can be found here and nowhere else. Let's start at the top and work our way down. This large dorsal fin piece is printed on both sides and is set exclusive to the Skyhopper, understandably so I might add. You may have been able to brick build something like this at the time, however the print not only increases the level of detail, but also keeps the angle of the wing consistent. Lower down, we come to a red griffin printed on a 2x4 slope brick. At first, I had assumed this print design was from something like Harry Potter, but no, this was its first and only appearance. Not only that, but there's actually one on the other side of the craft as well. Both are facing forwards, which means this is not one, but 2 set exclusive parts. Madness. Below that is yet another set exclusive printed part, this one featuring a black bordered vertical yellow stripe on a 2x3 slope brick. I was puzzled by its inclusion at first because it looked so out of place, but then I looked up photos of the original filming model, and sure enough, there it was. By the way, since we're here already, check this out. I'd only ever seen shots of this prop from the side, like this. That led me to believe that there was only one pilot within the ship, and they had to suffer with this big central wing in the way. But look here. There are 2 pilots aboard. It only looks like there's one from most angles because there's actually a wall separating them. That seems like horrible cockpit design. Computer, can you tell Stanley to increase pitch by 15 degrees so that we don't crash? I think LEGO's version of this craft actually makes more sense in a roundabout way. They make the T-16 into a single-seater and give the pilot a view screen on the middle pylon so they can see where they're going. This printed 1x1 part is actually a clever reuse of a piece from Watto's Junkyard, making its final appearance here today. LEGO also did an immaculate job matching their minifigure design to the source material, and it's here where we find our last 2 set exclusive pieces. The first of which is the sole unprinted set exclusive part included, this red flight helmet. Though the shape is unmistakably Star Wars, the lack of printed details arguably makes it a more versatile LEGO element than its run-of-the-mill compatriots, something that this set shares in common with a certain entry in the UFO theme. Neat. The final set exclusive part is the minifigure's torso, a near spitting image of the design seen in the original filming model. I have no doubt that the LEGO designers were given multiple photos, if not access to the model itself, to design their set around. This level of attention to detail was unusual for LEGO Star Wars at the time, which is why this set is such an anomaly to me. The print work is next level accuracy, but the shaping of the set itself is still very rudimentary, relying on old slope bricks to do most of the work. It's a peculiar result. It's both highly informed by the source material, and yet it intentionally deviates from it as well. Here's a great example of that. The entire central wing peels back to reveal equipment and weapon storage within. Surely this is not a function of the original model, either physically or in-universe. Oh, and here's that Rock Raider scanner piece again. We've gotta stop meeting like this. Before we go, let's take a look at those alternate builds I was raving about earlier. Since this set came out in 2003, they had already largely dropped most of the alternate build support for this series, and things would only get worse from here. As a result, we only have 2 to build today. The first is a stout, asymmetrical craft with TIE Fighter-esque wing design. I appreciate the laser cannon situated above the pilot's shoulder. That must get loud. By far though, the most fun play feature is the pair of movable rudders on each wing. Love to see it. The second alternate build depicts a delta-winged craft with large rear vertical stabilizer. I imagine this one flying low to the ground to remain undetected while making precision strikes. The attention to detail with the greebling is icing on the cake. And that, my friends, is the T-16 Skyhopper from LEGO Star Wars. This is a really unique set, and hopefully I've done a good job of explaining why here today. While it's not the prettiest or most advanced build out there, it aptly represents the shift in focus that was starting to take hold within LEGO Star Wars, where the desire for screen accuracy was starting to outpace the means to achieve it. And for that, I find it
fascinating.
Thanks for watching, everyone. This video was brought to you by the folks who support me during the Summer of Slug, especially those subscribed to my Only Slugs tier. Folks like Awesome, who is a pretty awesome person themselves, actually. Everything is awesome. Chlorine, who tells me there's a story behind this username, and I'll give you 3 guesses as to what chemical is involved. Maxwell Miles Candlin. And if I had this name, I'd have a hard time deciding whether or not I wanted folks to call me Maxwell or Miles. Both are really cool. VimeZ42, who did not disappoint me when I asked what the 42 was in reference to. I could tell you, but you're not gonna like it. Signal Station 77, who is currently orbiting Planet U. Sure is busy these days. Volters, who is a fellow fan of Thomas the Tank Engine and the Railway series. Wait, have I ever mentioned that I like Thomas the Tank Engine? Well, I guess now you know. Pezzi, who gave me full creative freedom when it came to pronouncing their name. Might I suggest the Italian double Zs then? Pezzi, rolls off the tongue. The Yeet, who is really throwing their support behind old Slugger this year. Trans Blue Bricks, who really picked a nice color to center her username around. Shark, who has been a thoughtful member of our Discord group, always checking in on the well-being of others. Austin, who sent an outstanding gift to my P.O. box, Slugzilla! And Busy Rumble, let's get ready to rumble! These folks and many more deserve our thanks for making the Summer of Slug a reality. If you'd like to pitch in and show your support, the links are in the video description. I've been your host, RR Slugger, and I'll see you next time for another video.